Parts of speech? Are you kidding me? That's right, parts of speech. Um, you want to be a law enforcement professional, you got to know how to write. It's like I said in the last module, or maybe the one before. It's not all about driving fast with your woo-woos and walking around with a gun and badge on. I'm just telling you, 100% of what you do is going to require some type of documentation, or you be able to express yourself using written communication and verbal communication as well. So we are going to cover the parts of speech and things that you need to be aware of when you do report writing. So for this week's assignment, when we talk about parts of speech, we're discussing things like nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, pronouns, those basic things that you need to understand. And that's why early on I talked about how I really don't care much for third person writing. I understand that some departments require that, but what happens is, especially when we start talking about pronouns and what have you, it can get a little bit confusing when you're reading those reports. So let's just kind of go over some of the things that you're going to be required to look at during this week's reading, and kind of get a grasp of what's going on. Nouns, proper nouns, concrete nouns, those kinds of things. Pronouns, verbs, adjectives, prepositions, conjunctions, interjections. I'm going to write a police report and I'm going to use interjections. Well, you won't be using interjections, but you will probably quite regularly, daily, when you write a report, you'll be conveying something that someone else has said. And when you do that, sometimes you will use interjections like exclamation points, things like that. So anyway, these are just some of the things that we're going to cover this week. Be sure that you have your textbook called here it is, Reported in Writing, 6th edition, when we're going through the material here. And so what I want you to do this week is I want you to read you have the assigned reading. It starts on page 113, I believe. Let me look real quick. It starts on 113. Read the chapter, do the exercises. And so I know what you're probably thinking so far. Man, how do I know if I'm getting this right? That's the whole point of the exercises. If you're unsure, go back in your text, read over it, because you are going to be the one that's responsible for determining if you're getting a grasp of it or not. I think I put my email address in the syllabus. I think my phone number is in there. So if you have any questions, really, to be quite honest with you folks, this is some pretty basic stuff that we're going through here. And I think I also notified you or told you in this week's module that the material on these exercises that we do, that's where the information is going to come from for your exams and things like that. So I just want you to read, look at the exercises, and then at the end, or the examples, and then at the end on those exercises, I want you to be able to go through those. This week, the assignment on parts of speech begins on page 136. Let's look at that real quick. Over here on page 136, you'll see in your text where it says final note, and then it gives some examples and some exercises for you to do. There's an exercise 1, exercise 2, and exercise 3. That's what I want you to do this week. Look at the information, read that, complete those exercises, and I really want to encourage you to use your discussion board. Although I'm not necessarily grading this week as far as what's in the discussion board, I would like you to use that as a sounding board for me and for the other students in the class, so that you can get on the discussion board and try to work some things out that perhaps you don't understand. Why would we even do this kind of thing using the discussion board? Well, it is an online class. And here's the deal. One of the things that, if you looked in the first assignment, or I'm sorry, the second module, it talked about things like finding a writing, I think it was in section Z, when it talked about finding a writing mentor. That's a person that you trust, somebody that you would like to look at your reports to make sure that, not necessarily a grammar Nazi or anything like that, but somebody that can look at your report and say, hey, you might want to look at this because this was a little bit unclear. So that's the whole point with using the discussion board. You can look at things, you can contact one another, you can look at each other's writings or ask questions about it, email each other, whatever it is that you decide to do. Hey, and use a discussion board if you would like to cut and paste what you have so far in the discussion boards for other people to look at. That's perfectly fine. That'll be a great way for you to look at each other and do a little bit of peer reviewing. How many of you have ever been in a class, go back to junior high, high school, or whatever, maybe it's a geometry class, a writing class, whatever the case may be, and then you are having trouble understanding exactly what it is that the teacher is trying to convey. You ask another student, and the way that they present it to you, it just makes it a lot easier for you to understand. Same thing here, folks. That's all I'm talking about. It gives you a chance to use your other classmates as a sounding board to be able to look at some of the things that possibly that you're struggling with, or basically it could also it could be used to reinforce some of the things that that you are doing, that you're doing right, and so those are good things as well. So you have your assignment for this week. Once again, I'm available, raugustine@kilgore.edu. If you have any questions, if you want to call me or email me about something on the syllabus as well, there's my extension if you want to call. I'm in the Woodruff building. If you want to come by and discuss some things, that's fine with me. I do ask this though, if you are and I hate to sound sexist or anything like that, if you are a female student and you need to talk to me, you are going to need to bring someone with you. Either that or I can meet you up front in the office. But anyway, that's just my policy. And the other thing is my office is kind of out of the way. So anyway, if you would enjoy yourself when you do this assignment. If you have any questions, call me, email me, do some peer review with your friends. And the big thing is I just want you to make sure that you have fun with the assignment and learn as much as you can. Compare it to some of the writing that you've done in the past or you're currently doing, and see if these things don't line up and make sense. Have a good week.